Hello and welcome. I hope you're safe and well. In today's exciting episode, I'm working on the second watermelon jacket. I had so much fun with the first one. I was like, ooh, again. So yes, that is what I'm doing. Different beading, but yes, another watermelon jacket.
It's perfect. Perfect jacket.
So I bought 1 yard at the sales at the end of the year, start of the year. I bought 1 yard of this 1 meter of this watermelon fabric, and I was like, oh, I'll make a Chanel style jacket. And then I was like, actually, I could make 2 boleros and bead them in 2 separate ways. So that is what I proceeded to do. I made the 2 tiny jackets. One has slightly puffy sleeves, and this one has shorter sleeves and it's also cropped, whereas the other one is a midi length. So with the cropped one, I did a watermelon on the back, and I was really happy with that. And I was like, oh, I should do a even bigger bit of watermelon and put it on the back of the Very Hungry Caterpillar jacket. And so I made a template for the largest, the really big bit. And it fits on the back of the Very Hungry Caterpillar. And then I was like, actually, I wonder if it fits on the larger of the 2 watermelon ones. And it does. So I traced out another one. And I am doing, so there's going to be 2 watermelon jackets, and they're both going to have slices of watermelon on them. I'll show you them in a minute. One is a regular sized one. Well, it's kind of big. And the other one is gigantic. This is the gigantic one. And just to switch things up, I started by outlining the red and the magenta pink. On this one, because it's so much bigger, the magenta pink really does look magenta-y. And I was getting a bit worried about it, but then I finally added the paler pink. And it sort of makes you, in your mind, it tells you that the magenta is actually magenta pink. So it works because there's another pink in there. But for the longest time, I was like, oh, I don't know about this. I don't know. So here I am just adding all the outlines so that I'll be able to pull the tissue paper template apart. And I know I should have done the pips, the seeds first, the black bits, but I forgot where I put my bag of black sequins. So I was like, I'll put it off. So you can tell which colours I had out, can't you? I had the 2 greens, the red and the magenta out, and I did those. And then I was like, okay, now I actually have to look around for the other ones. So this is me just showing you the back. It's got to keep it nice and clean, especially when the jacket is basically white. So if you had any dark threads just sort of messing around everywhere, you'd be able to see them. But also you just want to keep the back as clean as possible, because when you're wearing it, you don't want it to brush up against you or anything like that. I mean, there's obviously going to be the silk lining, but you always want to keep the back as neat as possible. So here I am just adding more and more. I think my thread ran out, so I'm just adding more and more threads. And then I think once the greens were done, I decided that it was time to colour in. Basically, beading for me is just colouring in. So now that the outlines were done, well, obviously I still haven't done the white or the pale pink, so I had to leave the line where that is, and I had to leave the bits where the black seeds are. But the rest I could start pulling it out. So I've cleared out the tissue paper in the green section, and I just sort of have to fill in half of it in dark green and half of it in the avocado green, and where they meet, sort of mix the 2 so that they sort of mesh nicely. And here we go. I'm just sort of, each time I stopped and tied off a thread and tied on a new one, I picked up the camera. So that sort of tells you how much you get done. I use really long threads because I have I'm quite good at doing the tension, but it's just as easy. Actually, it's probably easier to do it in shorter threads. But I sort of like to just go off and think in my own mind and just do a whole long thread, and instead of stopping and starting. But everyone has their own way of doing it and their own rhythm. So the whole of the green section is pretty much done. There were 3 bits on the avocado where you could see through. And if you didn't want to do it, is because I'm doing so much beading, it's about twice as much as per inch as people would normally do in this kind of beading. So I am doing a lot, and it does, obviously, if you do twice as much, it takes twice as long. So if you wanted to get this sort of effect without taking forever, you could use bits of felt, cut them out in each color, place them down and stitch over them, and that way you wouldn't have to worry about the bottom, because I have to do it so close, and I had to go back and put in a few more sequins so that you couldn't see the white fabric underneath and you couldn't see any of the bits of watermelon. So yeah, if you don't want to spend a million years doing that, then it would just be much easier to buy some synthetic felt, or any synthetic fabric doesn't fray, or you just heat the edges and they'll melt slightly, and that will give you the color blocks of the color, and that way you won't have to do quite as much sequin work over the top. You'll still have to do a bit so that there's nice sparkles everywhere, but you won't have to get the absolute coverage that I'm doing here. So now I'm slowly filling in some of the magenta pink, and yeah, I'm just procrastinating really. So this is me deciding that I finally have to put these ones away and get out the silver, the white, greenish white, the pale pink, and also the black ones. I'm also trying to gauge how many more watermelons I can get out of the bag of sequins that I have. I have quite a lot of the dark green, quite a lot of the avocado, quite a lot of the red, but I'm using more of the magenta pink than I thought I would. Don't have as much of the silver or the light pink one. So I think but I do have these are foil sequins, metal sequins with the color sprayed on them, but I do have plastic sequins in aqua beige, pale pink, hot pink, and black. So I'm thinking I might get creative. Like I've got a couple of, you've seen my collections videos. I've got there's 2 jackets in particular. One is hot pink and sort of orangey beige, and I might do like hot pink, pale pink, and beige and cream slice of watermelon on the back, because when I go to I visit art galleries and museums quite a bit, and a lot of the really, really prestigious galleries around the world have recently said you can't wear a certain scarf, or you can't wear anything that's got a flag on it, or anything with a bit of watermelon on it. So I'm like, oh really? So the reason that you do a watermelon is because it's got the colors of the flag. It's got the red, the white, and the black, and the green of the flag that you can't use, that was outlawed. And yeah, so I'm thinking maybe I'll do watermelons, but I'll do them in other colors so that there's no reason to say you can't go into a gallery. So anyway, and I just think it's wrong that you shouldn't be able to express yourself through your clothing going into an art gallery. Like, it's just ridiculous. Anyway, so I this was it for the night, and I just put it up on the side, and I just turned my light around. The next bit is during the day. So here we go. This is the daytime. See the top of the watermelon. I wish I'd done, see how the pink's on one side and red's on the other side? I wish I'd swapped around the template. I'd noticed that the watermelon at the top is red, because, yeah, if it was that magenta pink, I think you would see the top of the watermelon a lot clearer. As soon as it's on someone, then you move all the time, so that the glittering bit you can tell anyway, but just when it's sitting on a mannequin, it's not quite as easy to discern the top of the watermelon. But anyway, I don't mind it, but if I have my time again, I might be tempted to swap it. I was tempted to like undo a few bits of the red and replace them with magenta, and I was like, ugh, I'll finish it first, because once you stop and you start messing around with something, you often lose momentum. So I was like, I'll just finish the whole thing first, and if it still bothers me, then I'll consider changing it again. But so I've done the black seeds, and because this one is so giant, when I did the 6 seeds on the original watermelon slice, I just used one bit of thread between all of them. But because this slice is, I don't know, about twice as big, I just did 3, the bottom 3, which were close together. I used a bit of thread for them, and then the other ones I did separately because they're actually quite far apart. Anyway, so I've nearly finished here, and I've just got I think I had 1.5 threads to go, and so I just took a few. And as I was making this one, I actually had a bit of fabric on my bench as well. So every time I turn it over to tie on and tie off, it didn't scratch any of the sequins. It was just on fabric the whole time. So I definitely recommend doing that. And also when you do the sequins, the top one, you can either do it like a little umbrella, or you can turn the sequin upside down, and that way only the very edges of the sequin will brush on whatever touches it, and that way it gets less scratches on it if it's concave rather than convex. So it might look weird to you, but that's why it will get a lot less scratches on it over the decades this way. Also, it's just more interesting to the eye. So it's finished, and as I said, you could change the top and make it sort of pink, magenta-y pink on the top bit, and that way it'll be a little bit more easier to see. But as soon as you move, it's so glittery, and the actual fabric is not. So you can immediately tell where it is. And I don't know which I prefer. I think it is a little bit. I do think I went a little bit overboard with this one because, as I said, this watermelon slice was designed for the Very Hungry Caterpillar jacket, which is actually a lot bigger. This watermelon one here took about half a yard of fabric, whereas those jackets with the kimono sleeves, like the Very Hungry Caterpillar one, they took a yard of fabric or a meter of fabric to do. So now that the gigantic slice of watermelon is done and looking very oversized and ridiculous, I have to do the rest of the beading for the rest of the jacket. And I think I really like the idea of white beads. And I think, so the jacket with the pink back, obviously I'm going to do pale pink beads on that, but I still haven't found all the pale pink beads, and I'm going to have to do all over to obscure the fact that I've used a different fabric on the back. But this jacket here, it's the same on the front as the back, so I can just do a light smattering of beads. And while I don't have enough white beads to do the entire jacket, if I just did a smattering of either these really pale beige whitish ones or see-through sequins with a clear bead and white thread, or I have these white beads here which are small, but I don't know, some of them are just plastic, so I'm worried that the whole jacket might end up looking a little bit cheap if like the first thing you see is like a couple of plastic beads, whereas these antique white pearls, they're not cheap. They're really good quality glass pearls. They're not actual pearls, they're glass pearls. So it's a solid glass bead with a pearlized paint baked onto it. They're, as far as costume jewellery goes, they're good quality fake pearls, basically. So I think I will try them and we'll see how they look together because, yeah, pearls just have this absolutely beautiful glow to them. And, yeah, so I start putting on the pearls and they do look beautiful. They're not a white, a brighter white. They're a sort of a pinky, very, very light pink beige white. So that's why you can see them. And no, the fabric is not dirty. When you have a real thing and you stitch it to fabric, it has a shadow. So yes, there is a shadow on every single bead because it's real and three-dimensional. So I'm going along and stitching them all on. And now it's a little hard to put it on the mannequin because these are solid glass beads, so they have quite a weight to them. And if you only do one side, then the whole jacket is lopsided because one side is weighted and the other is not. But I decided to put it on the mannequin anyway, just to see whether I like it. I'm used to seeing glass pearls on tweed, and on tweed, pearls nestle into the tweed beautifully. Whereas with this fabric here, even though I have stitched them on really well, they still sit outside the fabric and I'm not used to it. I do like it, and the glow, especially when you see them in the shadow, is just beautiful. It's really gorgeous. But I don't know. So I think I'll leave the jacket up here on the sideboard for a little bit until I decide whether I like it or not. And then I will either continue or take them off and do something else. And in the meantime, I still have that silver jacket that has the green large giant sequins on it. I could probably finish doing the green sequins on that. And then that will give me enough time to decide whether I like this one or not. Yeah, as you can see, I didn't do that. I just kept going with this. I think my problem was that this fabric, the watermelon fabric, as much as I love it, it's not an expensive tweed, and the beads, I bought them to use. They're not cheap, and I bought them to use on a tweed. And I think my problem was that, the beads are way more expensive than the base fabric, but it doesn't matter. They're never going to be sold. At most, they're going to be a part of a collection that's maybe one day going into a museum. They're just for me, so it doesn't matter whether they meet other people's idea of what should or shouldn't be fashion. So I've decided to go ahead, and I also they're 10 millimeter, which is 1 centimeter round, these beads. If you know my scrambled egg Chanel, that's got 8 millimeter pearls on it. So these ones are quite big, and also they don't nestle into the fabric, which makes them feel even bigger. So that's kind of where I was like, "Ooh, is this okay?" But I like it. The sort of the watermelon on there is so obvious. I think it's also because the watermelon has the seeds in there, and I was like, does the whole thing look polka dotty now? But I don't know. I like it now. I sort of just went away, had coffee and did some other things, and then it's another day now. And yeah, I really like it. So I'm continuing to slowly cover the whole thing. It's not that slow, actually. I really like working on these cropped, little bolero jackets with short sleeves, and this is a midi length torso of the jacket, because they're literally about half the yardage. I literally made 2 jackets out of this instead of just one. So it is quicker to bead, so you get the entire thing done in a little more than half the time. But it's pretty cool. And then I don't know, I feel like it's still not enough, but I think it's because this slice of watermelon on the back is so big, and just it's heavy too. It's not heavy, but it just the fact that it's huge and, ginormous means that it does have a certain weight to it. So I kind of feel like in between all the pearls, maybe I should do those see-through sequins and just put a seed bead under and a seed bead over the sequins so that the whole jacket looks like, because at the moment the pearls sort of look like they're sticking out a little bit. And yeah, so if I just added sequins in between, it would just look like three-dimensional. The three-dimensional aspect would look more routine or more uniform. So here I am, I've done a section on one side and it's not completely done, but it's more than enough of a sample. So from the front, it looks like one whole side is done. So these are they're sort of transparent, but they've got a vanilla, slightly yellow, purple, yellow pink tinge to them. So I was going to keep going, but what I'll do is put it up on the mannequin and I'll try and show you one side that's just pearls and one side that's pearls and sequin. So it's kind of like the sparkle of a diamond mixed in with that dull luster of a pearl. It's much more interesting to the eye. And I think it also, it makes the whole jacket look more cohesive instead of these large blobs of pearls. I love the pearls, but I'm just worried that they're, having these sequins in between will also protect the pearls over time, because you won't knock a pearl. It'll all be cushioned by everything around it. So I'm not sure it translates when you edit. When I edit, I've got the picture that I'm narrating. I can see the picture, but it's really small in the software. So it's not completely clear the difference between the two. And I know some of you watch these videos on your phones. So the difference between the two sides might not be that obvious, but in real life, in person, it looks much more finished. I guess, like, I have transparent deep red sequins, so I guess if I wanted to, I could put like 5 sequins on each of the bits of watermelon as well, and maybe 3 or 4 green ones on the rind bit. But I don't know. I think that would be a bit much. I think I'll just finish this whole sequining of the whole jacket and then we'll go from there. But I quite like the sequin and the pearl combo on just the white sections. I'm happy with this. So I shall continue. And I continued and I haven't quite finished yet, but I'm at that point where I feel like it's never going to end. So I've just stopped and taken some footage. I love the piece of watermelon on this jacket. See, this is the section I haven't done yet. There's like one sleeve and just a little bit around it. So the sleeves are really difficult because they're so curved and three-dimensional. You have to sort of hold it in a really specific way so that the tension on the thread is correct. Anyway, now it's finished. And I really love the huge piece of watermelon on the back of this one. I don't think it really totally suits this jacket, but I do love the, I finished it at night. So this is just my desk lamp and I've turned it round. So there is footage of it during the day, but this is me actually finishing it. And I got so excited that it was finally done. Plus, I wanted you to see what the transparent sequins look like at night. They're sort of this pinky vanilla yellow color, and it looks really good. So if you wore it to something in the evening, it just looks completely different depending on whether it's natural light or evening. And it's just, I like it. It adds a layer to it. And yes, the absolutely huge slice of watermelon on the back. It is a little bit big. But I'm thinking of the other jackets that I can put it on, like the bigger jackets, the normal size Chanel style tweed jackets. I think it would look good on one of those. So yeah, I think I might do one of those next. And then that's when I stopped to do the next episode, the sewing challenges. Some of those are really good. And I just love this jacket. It's so pretty, the daisy one. Anyway, here it is during the day. So yeah, you can't really see that pink twinge on the transparent sequins. When the light catches it a certain way, they look yellowish, sort of vanilla yellowish color. Otherwise, you can't really see them at all. And in real life, you can see them more. You can see at least the sort of bling, the shiny, the sparkle, so that you know that they're there. I'm not sure it translates, especially if you're watching on a small screen. I'm not sure it really works, but in real life, it looks adorable. I am still thinking that I might do ready. I've got these ready magenta small sequins that I might put over the print of watermelon, maybe. But this one, I'm thinking I'll do it on another jacket. So I've got another jacket it's a tweed jacket that I call it the Lacroix jacket, because there's this Christian Lacroix look or outfit, and the colours in the whole of the outfit, and particularly the jacket, are the same as the one in this. Anyway, I was originally going to bead it. It's sort of got orange, gold, and dusty rose pink in there, and I was originally going to bead it with seed beads and do this elaborate design, but I don't have enough seed beads. So what I'm thinking is I'll carefully take them off. That's the Lacroix jacket. I'll carefully take this sample off the back, and I'll do a big slice of watermelon in matching colours, so gold, beige and pinks, and then I'll bead the rest with gold beads, I think. So yeah, I think I'll do that, and I'll just do the slice of watermelon in the other alternate colours, and I'll see how that looks. It's a regular size jacket rather than a cropped one, a super cropped one. So I think the huge piece of watermelon will, it's a long way of saying, I think the huge piece of watermelon will suit the back of that jacket, because it's so like Lacroix, Christian Lacroix is so over the top anyway. In a good way, sort of more is more. I love the mix of textures and colours. It's just like this full-on sensory overload. It's so fabulous. Anyway, so this looks relatively sedate when compared to those. So yes, I think I'll leave it as it is for the moment, because I can't remember where I have to go searching through my bead collection to find those sequins that I think might be good on the slices, printed slices of watermelon. So yeah, I think it's time to do another bead haul. I did a couple in Vlogmas for December, and I haven't done any since. So I might go through my bead collection and actually tidy them up, because I also have to get out the beads that I want for some of my Make 9 jackets. I've been thinking about how I'm going to... I sort of just had 9 concepts, so I've sort of pinned down what I'm actually going to make for some of them. So now I have to go find the ingredients so I can make them. Anyway, that is it for this video. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you're not too sick of watermelon. Watermelon's delicious, and these were really fun jackets to make. So yeah, thanks again for watching. I hope you've been inspired to make a customized jacket or any garment of your own, and happy sewing.